the first question I wanted to see, like I said, was just the basics of having good soil. Because I know you can't, like you told me, you can't put a $10 plant inside of, a penny soil. So
Right.
it's not going to produce, it's not going to be successful. So that's where we want to start.
That's important, because basically contemporary farmers in the past, like your great grandfather, he knew to work the soil. And it might be as simple as just getting a load of manure and spreading it on the soil in the fall, letting that to begin to break down. The microbes begin to break that down, and they turn that into a healthy soil. Okay, that's a simple way of doing it. In Texas, it's difficult because where I grew up in Oregon, that's kind of how you did it. Just throw the manure out in the fall and then plant in the spring.
Correct.
Here, there's a lot of variety of soil. Some of it's heavy sand, and heavy sand won't hold water. And so you have to put more organic matter in there.
Okay.
An easy way of doing that, like I know where you're talking about is out west by El Paso, I would go into El Paso in the fall, and when they're bagging up the leaves, because in the neighborhoods, they'll have a lot of deciduous trees that they planted and they babysat. Get those leaves, the neighbors will pick them up for you, okay? And they'll be bagged. Take those leaves out to where you're at. If you have a lawnmower, run over the top of them to break them into smaller pieces. Because if they stack and they're wet, they'll become anaerobic. They'll start smelling like death. But if they have moisture and air, they'll begin to break down and make a wonderful compost.
So that'll be good for the sand.
That'll be good for the sandy soil.
Okay.
The more you put in the organic matter, it'll help to hold, it'll be food for the plant, but it'll help to hold moisture too.
Okay.
Because if you just plant in a sandy soil with no organic matter, the water just flows through, and you're constantly pouring water, and El Paso's hot, so you wouldn't be able to keep up with it.
Okay.
So, and to begin with, I would probably pocket plant. Not everyone has the money to go do a dig out where you dig out 6 inches or a foot of soil and hauling in good compost, okay?
So explain pocket planting.
I'm going to,
Okay.
The thing with the compost is there's a lot of things that are dirt cheap, dirt's not one of them. And so if you get a truckload, that's gonna cost you a lot of money.
Okay.
But, so you do it as you go with the leaves like I was talking about in the off season, and there's other things you can put out there too. If you have access, if it's to branches that are chopped up, if you do a lot of vegetables, you can plant your compost. You can take at the end of the day, if you made excess salad, just dig a hole and put it right in the garden. The microbes will break it down and turn that into good soil.
Okay.
But for pocket planting, okay, say you have a plant the size of my drink here, not this tall, but about 4 inches across, which is a small bedding plant. Okay, I would take and dig a hole out about twice the size of that, and put some compost, some bagged compost in that soil, in that hole. Then put the plant in there and then cover it with more compost. Okay? That way it has nutrients. It's not just in sand, not be able to hold water, no ability to get nutrients. It has nutrients already, and that will help it to put roots out.
Okay.
And for the food, and it'll help to survive.
To start from seed when you're growing something on sandy, from the beginning, or is it okay to go with something that's already?
That's a big controversy. A lot of people will tell you that it's not gardening if you don't start from seed.
Right, I've heard that.
But here's the problem you have. When you have persnickety weather, which I don't know a place in Texas that's consistent, it's very neurotic, okay? I mean, we had last spring, I think I told you this, last spring in a 10-day period, we had 27 degrees and 93 degrees in 10 days.
Yeah.
Now, how can a small little plant know to thrive or die? And most of the time they'll die.
Yeah.
So you need to know that, and if you know when the last frost date is, you get things out after the last frost date, it's not a problem. But there's some things, because the heat that comes on so fast, if you do them by seed after the last frost date, they won't get big enough, because when that heat comes, it'll just burn them up. Those little bitty plants. So what I do is I plant them by seed in pots. And a lot of people will disagree with me, but it's just, you'll get schizophrenic trying to figure out the weather yourself to when to put the seeds in and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I plant them in little pots, and then I up pot them. Plant them in little plug pots or little 4-inch pots, and then I go them to gallon pots.
Mm-hmm.
Like tomatoes, you can start tomatoes usually in January here in the Fort Worth area, inside, okay? And when the weather's nice, you know, we have sometimes we have 60, 70 degrees in January. You take them outside. They like to be outside.
Yeah.
When it's not, you have them inside. Because it doesn't, when it's below 50 degrees, basically in the 40s, it won't kill the plant, but it will stunt the plant's growth and productivity where it won't produce as much fruit. What's your objective is the fruit. You can have a big, beautiful plant, but we're not looking for ornamental plants. We're looking for fruit.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason to do that. And then the other thing is too, I have people come in here every spring, and I can set my clock by it. When can I get tomatoes? The other people have tomatoes already. How come you don't have tomatoes? I'm trying to save them money and develop a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
Because if I sell them tomatoes, I can guarantee those tomatoes, if I sell them to them in March, like the March we had this last year was so nice weather, there's tons of people buying tomatoes, put them in the ground. Oh, they made it. It's all caught fine. We hardened them off. I can almost guarantee if you ask those people, they have very limited fruit right now because it stunted them because it got too cool.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't want that. Tomatoes is like a semi-tropical plant, so you don't want that. So what I suggest doing, they come and they'll say in March. Now by the 15th of March, there's only a 20% chance of freeze. Well, that's fine. You want to throw the dice on that?
Yeah.
I don't. And so what I do is I wait till the 15th of April, and then my plants are good-sized plants. I put them out, and if on the 20th of April it's 90 some degrees, they're stressed a little bit, but they survive and they produce fruit.
Yeah.
So it just depends. Now, if you like basil, you can plant basil from seed the best. That's it, and it saves you money. You don't want to come and buy carrot starts from places because you get one carrot. So you plant those, but that depends on time and season. The carrots you plant in the fall. So you have to know when to plant things. Going to the cool weather, it's not as big a deal because they can weather through majority of the freeze most of the time.
Yeah.
And I can tell you how to make a little hoop house where when you do have an icy day or two, it'll still survive it and it'll be okay.
And it's like the little things that go across, like I don't know what you call those things.
Pieces of PVC, like it's irrigation tube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.